Yeah. Las ta charusu kara jinnanamu sishunibi. Ta joma komidisu toto joma tsumidisu kolebe jionga mishi si rewakido te joma tsumidire kimino la te na jinnamidisu toto ngachira sundi atire na be informal sheto zum chibe jage sishunibi la. Tani ngachigi tati tamagi sundidisu kara nangob na tiwatilin begob be ko datu begob be sauda nabugibe te na joma tsumidisulu 이메 데메 아니 카체 세기 투삼레 지바친 테 고다티치 나보기 지나로 투베 세슈니비 다리 타치 콘두슈도 좀베 토토기 같이 나마기 데타 로지디수 카치라 람니루 같이 인포멀 베자게 다니보다 랭귀지 같이라 가라 나즈 코제베 탑카디우 고다티 레짐베 투수비기 네캅튠디기베 땡아치라 카키데 종카짭고루 데 필리비기 아치레 주루주 창라 아치레 호삼카 아치레 주통로 힌디 아치레 벵골리 아치레 텐소로 고마티세 슈니비 쪼라 다리기딩 아치라 고다티 베니치 이마 임 메마멤기 로주치 람니기 인라 데나 나부기 세미디스웨 데타 마파 인딩하나 이차나 베니디기 깜네 깝드라 유라 이니디 이루라 땡아 따라 닌체베 멘세 슈니비 Dr. Lotay 나도 슈도 슈니비 니지기 콜리 이메 멘기 콜리 이메 나 지미다 인세미 레레잉이치 나치오 탑베시미 온다 다 멘기 콜레다 니지기 콜레 베니디기 vaccination da immune system gi 콜레 베니디기 virus da virology gi 콜레 베니디기 대체 마쇼디 아치치 땡아기 탑베시옹 스노이기 레와케디 나기 시미디 나불도 슈도 슈니비라 테 다리딩아 차라 치르당기 COVID-19 gi 콜레 이미카 the vaccination second drive digi 콜레 이 세슈니비 다니보다 다리 as we talk the last 24 hours nalu the COVID-19 gi niju mi khu du thep thuila the ni samsili thumiding achara primary context ime the tisudi almost 30 to 35% of the primary context ultimately turn out to be positive la the ngachinam semi the semdi mega magaru chage mi seshunibi 핀순이레 니 primary contact ime de chagedi yu irura de tabramino segi nosami seshunibila de보다 핀순이레 니디 community nali ime flu clinic nali inla 다니기 chage bombera yu seshunibila 단좀베 COVID-19 gi tare infection di the virus SARS-CoV-2 gi nature di change be jodo that is called mutation la and mutate baby jobe now we are in delta variant ki face na now people are already starting talking about lambda variant la ta variant sapchi thendo se which can be more lethal semiche thendo but yet we are collecting evidences more evidences are evolving so we really cannot comment much on lambda variant but delta variant has engulfed the whole world almost 90% of the new cases that are detected are infected by delta variant which is almost 5 times more contagious imela 5 times more contagious ime it is more aggressive ime more hospitalization jomela and then globally death mashochi delta variant gi jome now is the death more because of aggressiveness of delta variant or is it because delta variant has become the more dominant variant tani nidiradi to hinsang sebe shumishebe irura the niji thome masho delta variant ime shime masho delta variant I ngachi gyakap na yumide almost 80% dechi delta variant yu se shunibi ani benidigira tengachi ma satsamgi sago nala phala phunsunila phalu the totally stop chama sumigi reason chi ani la tani benidigi tarengache the non pharmacological interventions gi that is by keeping physical distance wearing masks washing hands and then whenever there's a pocket of outbreak the lockdown baby builder the non pharmacological measures these are all temporary measures la tani temporary measures benidigira tangachira tama affected sagonala pa jumi pinsulingi Tshongpa jumi disuludi tabmadi bombe that popchi la ngachi lejmerashi ta ipchi halam sharang jaka kochi asila dodil kadam bedra tani tabmadi bom insenga chi shi irura that rest of the country gyakap jongka kechi jemidisu achichi ta ata zumchibe dyunimidi tabmadiudi karanga chira pinsulila samchila ba jumigi samzong hala ba jumi gelepula ba jumi te misesugibe tabmadiudi kongi si unidigi tenga chingole karigasu bombera yu se shunibi toto zi jumi da sen jume nga chira dodul kadam na yumi 피가 되마줘봐 옴게 주미 레샤옹라 제 자첩로행아 중래 까디가수에 bom바라 유비카 다 가디 조조집에라 단장하라기 장통나 수도 준비 다 아니 백신이신이 배서다빈 록칠록치 도들까던 배먹고방 아치라 가라 희상사비 존이기 고급지 유세미리다 다랭아치 나블레 고급디 퓨니 구주도 세슈니비 더 vaccination 구주보다 찌땅기 로주 쇼고미 레셔 슈미사니멜라 다니빈딩아기 찌땅디 아치치 대체비 자시나 테카투 또또 춘주입지 디와 옴기라 레셔두라 다네 디와 주dom잡비보다 디와 숨추 탐바 대치도 so all coordinated questions but we have about 30 questions that are already being raised so aningagi maybe rerebel habdige phuge 다니 디와 숨주기 렌 슈사우다벤 데네스 할람치 나라기 슈고미디 슈사웅세노 이레와기도 오세슈니비 나불루 툴루 똑바레 유 도로 디와요 바친 데말레퀴나라 데가라나 다주나 차로베미기 데 붐케장다 길om기베 데 고렌타뱅알루 도토라 튜뱅아기 렌디 도토라슈 슈셰미 렌 유미스가 도토슈라 슈마셰미디 숭아기 도로 케초술루 딜 합디기베 데가기 페이스북나 업로드 베자웅 세슈니비 디세 님 숨디치기 해말레라 데 페이스북나 되시데나 마차라기 디와 마치기 페이스북 PMO 페이지나 유미디스기 디와디수 마쇼 렌테카도 나라기라 퓨일라 다나 차치 준디기베 지로에 디와다 꼬신다 렌 앤서 닙처라 다유 나부기 지수 세슈니비 데 리링잉이루 데렌 아치 린수베 독셀 explanation detail na gomigi diwa yumidisulу tengari number 퓨이 세슈니베 ngaro로 콜베나 tengagi phone na be shuge ese 다나 폰에 콘숨데 치기라 데 페이스북 날에 나 넘버 디 투베 ngaro로 콜베데 데테노레가기 세 슈일라 단즈메 토토 나루에 데 나기 페이스북기 페이지나 지나라 나기 니기 넘버 다 퓨자옹 세슈니비 17162399이라 데 타마비로 나발레비로 땡아르로 디와디스 께나마친 나기 딜렌시셰 톤톰디 차슈게 세슈니비 가짐세와친 다레기 라디 나치기 다랭아기 시우타미기 프로그램디 vaccination 땡아치라 라짱치기 될루멘나 is not just for your protection through you it will be the protection for your family members and through your family members it will be the protection of the community the nation at large will depend on how many people in Bhutan are vaccinated la 아니기베 남이 있으면 같이 있으시니비 다 디와 담음디 더 공기 디위메 the Prime Minister volunteered to receive as the first case during the trial phase. Now the second dose give first patient be the Prime Minister gi lei. Why is that? Say, is this to motivate the public? Say migi tiwachi kumi themme se shuni beila. Tani ngaragi lejimbe shuachin tani vaccination gi advantages tingagi tata nami semi geshin gebe shi se shunimi tibada ngara gumichida 팔룸루 페수비기 윤투칭아루 유니디기 vaccination 펜 생각이시 vaccination 같이 계약함나도 또 메인 한번 지리치 유라 모더나도 파이저디 동상가디 지라이 있으시니비 람베 미라 데 모더나다 파이저디 데콩 identical twins 좀비 유니디기 데콩이디 쪼라 티스시니비 된 에스제네칸 같이나 담엄데 에스제네카 람베 붐체당가 자가 중기 나베 같이 피라 len tare nga chi AstraZeneca bum cheta jide chi 3.5 lakhs de chinga chi gyakamna hydra yu toru bum cheta ngi de chi ondo se shuni beila tani bendigi AstraZeneca ya lambe du Sinopharm me tongrang ngapchu tenga cheru janna jungi nga chi nadi toru gobachin khongi bum sumde chi phinge se gi nawa nga chi lu shudi yula tani bendigi malan lambe as AstraZeneca phudo Sinopharm phudo Moderna phudola Moderna bum nga yu 아니 퓨달루 아니 숨기텔레 가디타가 세미디 나라기 시이세 슈니비 다니 시니디기 땡가 모더나 레이세 슈니비라 다니 십드 아니 렘달루 라루기 베와친 데입지 할람치 빠타 주디 베도 줌기 나와 샤미리 링잉이레 유도오니메 라루기 베와친 남미세 다 컨피던스 지니기 튼루 임데 세미베 노디기베 데 가소 키미리 링잉에 템멜라 땡가르기 체솔루 체솔루 큐니르 마두바 동 템메세메 가소키메 템메 데베디 멘세 슈니베이라 vaccine din tested elsewhere in the world me safety din namsime high all vaccines that are used for COVID-19 are actually very safe la ngachelu kefin din Moderna vaccine ge technology ngagi shebe ngachi zukhagi the immune system di kadebe labina vaccine gi ngachi zukha kadebe feminine indipshep kopchi ngarena yubenidigi tenga namsimi po tundi gibe misegi donga pata ju nga shisuru ki mi se tuntum men se shunibila chepindi lejimbe shi ani bindigi nabu tusage jemigo se tenga pata ju de bego mi de misesu modana chapchu se no satandi gibe tuntum de se samsha kyumi tumme ani tu den se shunibi da chegi kundilu men le shabe da AstraZeneca Sinopharm da modana pudi yobda chechahabgi rirengingi gi mashiba rirengingi timmi rirengingi khalu nyenbe da gaji taga mashiba gutom demidisulu atmi penga sinodigibe tengaragi modana len modana lemigi nedunde modana tanidigi se shunibi rugeka boom nam nasa first world economies kara modana da Pfizer chabdola tengache gutamam nan tisu men gyakapna 톱니디디 파라자 아니 컴퍼니 디스지가 카치랄람디기 고kap마 더 없으 슈니비 공차샵기 같이 대치가 카칠랍기스로 딩아 뇰렌라 베모톱라 단민이 다랭아 제기 고kap지 톱베 미슬루 퓨습다 가 다메데라 퓨추우세 미스수기 맨가 다메디 지추우세 기라와 기디기베 티티생아라 고타마 칼라베 튜미디 디기 세슈니비라 대티와 니범디 Is it necessary to register again if you have already been registered during the first dose semichi dula? Tani ngiyama gutamamgina register bedamidislu tari second time register bemego se shunibila. Tani da chikara irrespective of your place of registration, you will get the vaccination from any place where you are now located la. Ta chera tab ka dimisago nale ti men khap di jeda se shunibi. Ngachi gya khapnalu we have 1,200 vaccination posts in the country la. Ani kara na ngachigi mingi kokab the choice to kara putain that are given a choice, take whichever is better. If you have not known until now, if you are in doubt, let me professionally tell you that Moderna is far better than AstraZeneca. Yet if you have any personal reasons, please take whichever vaccines you prefer. Ultimately, end of the day, you must take the vaccination because as I told you, it's not just for yourself and for your family. It is for nation building. Is for protection of the nation at large. Ani benidigi menkap jegob di khachi gadi jinna the nabugi to the tundigi bezina se shunibila. The makema ka tapchi leni se migi tulu tokpa yumisu bewachin the Moderna the leshagira Moderna ta se shunibi. Tamide nedu niula. Chi toto yumigi viral variants ki tulu protection is better by Moderna semidi. The researchers have already proven this se shunibi. The virus that are mutating until now, alpha variant, beta variant, lambda variant, delta variant, so far, efficacy by messenger RNA vaccines, that is Pfizer and Moderna, efficacy had always been good. Whereas efficacy by other vaccines are changing a bit. Efficacy of other vaccines. But efficacy by mRNA vaccines have always been consistently good. Tani benidigi shule upcoming variants loe mRNA vaccine digi ati penny zume jeume semedi tengari samchai se shunibi teda ju ngipcharana penny zume thome se. I have absolutely no reasons why I should promote Moderna unless except for professional reasons se shunibi la anichi. The question sumadi jam kingom semichi me. Does the person who has registered and received their first jab from penicillin need to register again for the second jab in Timpu se dula ti lending ata chi shusai se shunibi hema register besamedi lok register bemigo se it is already recorded in Bhutan vaccination system. Wherever you have registered yourself from, wherever you have taken the first vaccination from, you can take the second vaccination from any place. Please walk into any vaccination system post and ask for the vaccination. You just have to take your ID card number, be it citizenship ID card or any identity number. For any reason, che chumigi vaccination post nale che nagi mi memese, che dub memese, che hema sago jemichinale jenu se, tarinale mitop se lamitomachin. Tishunera ngalo jutintana se shunibila ni number di 17162399 ila annarangagi se piu se shunibi rirengi nigi mashima thoma dumtare shunigi ngenka chukure yu se shunibi iru shiji tongchi di mebe ngachi kondo ko da be se shunibila Tani bini digi nabu khab jiba chemdalu chu nagi mi meme nale chami chopse chu dub meme se chu ID card mino se chu ngema registration di sago soso nale beno chu first dose di soso nale leno tari nale mitop se lami yobachin tengalu jutin tana se shunibela nigi number di 17162399 se shunibela. Thus that to us jibadi the government says we have received many types of vaccines. Why do you recommend Moderna? Is it because we have enough doses se dula? Ta ngachigi vaccine khara use ime tibada Moderna lense lamme Moderna chankha lesha unity gi ina se development se shunibela development se shunibe chankha le chi so bachin Moderna da sino AstraZeneca di chankha dandabe use se shunibela ngachigi AstraZeneca di bumcheta jidechi 3.5 lakhs dechi ngachina hudi bumchi dechi ondo toru tonta tukchu thamba hemagiral hanjo yebda bumga lama lanchi AstraZeneca ra yu Moderna bumga dechi yula Sinopharm bewachi ngachila ba heheba ge tonta ngapchurai teboda bumsum dechi gobachi pingge se jana jungi ngachilo te nawa hudi se shunibe chankha gibe ngachi Moderna bego mi se shunibe la chechacha Moderna jena se ngare Moderna chapchi se midi Moderna gi kependi lejim yobletundi se shunibela ngachi gi tare Moderna jena ngachi gi recommendation Moderna I tibeoda chara cheri gi lodi tatube mappalera nedin kachiletini ro nga hemachamidira chapni se bewachin AstraZeneca gi kokabe ngachi gi phudo se midi nga gi shuila tani binidigi ta kadi jinna gi tete kependi kemachin derangi tuda tudien tatube jena ase shunibi toto ngachigi bemidi te gyakap zamling na bewachin Canada gi ru tebe bedes shunibi la ngache khonle achi petasu chibe yula Canada lu chitangi jungi honle gi shuadi Moderna or Pfizer chile jena ase imela tebe oda AstraZeneca gore yu se tebe pide ase shunibi Glen ngachigi Scandinavian countries ya Finland Norway Sweden disuna pa bewachin AstraZeneca di mapalera jadanu se shunibela kara Moderna da Pfizer chapgo se du se shunibe America lu bewachin AstraZeneca di chapta machube zonu se shunibela tengachirigi chancho gi Europe gya khamna la bewachin Germany France Switzerland la pa bewachin tani masho chira Moderna da Pfizer chapgo bedu se shunibe AstraZeneca di rerengi lu cham chipchinde esela te masho china lu gya khamnam nanam disuna lu Moderna da Pfizer masho chi chapgo be yugomidi te ani khongi gi kependi masu chi unity gi ime ese shunibela te mapa chipdangi di te COVID-19 gi nijilu yumi gi menkap geguchi ngachi gi chapchobbe yula nawa topdi anisu kara te namisimi jangi di phudo che mi ese shunibe ani beni diga ngachi mislu kokap phui yumi gi tele ka tapchi chapni ese bewachin te ngachi gi Moderna dhani digira tebe phiphui ese shunibela ta tarigi midenala phalo WHO gi kechuchi gi tani minla suda lejim mejo semigi tarshapchi jorela mix and match might be a dangerous thing semichi te labnu am somnathin gi amchi lamni digi ani chi tarshap jodo zumchibe choi te turulok thi moragi sumigi sunshedi moragi chokhachapdi yu se shunibela te mugi bewachin gyakhabnagi digji zodigi be policy intervention me omidi mugi te summen se rasrigi mi reregi khap nga yobachin ngapchara chame zum khap tamba ngibab sumba bita linte sumba me loju thendo nabugi mikeno yobonla third boost second booster dose as the third dose tamam di chap ngibam di chap so da khap sumbam di chamni gi lojula me themme tamba di da ngibam di mado ngibam da sumba mado be chamni se me ime lesha thendo wala dan su bewachin mitubni o tera khechu sugilami kha ngen jungi cham jami gi sijuda mathibachin Rakago be bewachin tama that could be a dangerous tin is a lab is emidi toromoragi se digi be shude se shunibela tani bulletin ti kimi se tengaragi boch tebe no me se shunibi tanalu WHO gi chief scientist gi lamide tenamasimi yasha digi be tetare kabla sudalu mitumni zum chibe tebe labde se shunibela tani di tata karagi honlera te dangachigi tanga tare sisole tubigi michibebe bodalu tutimi nyusuchi imela tani bininga hemaye shui tanga doctor lotibe tari nalama shudo se tanga che doctor disu kara te lu labdalu ima imda mema membe labgola lu labdalu te gekhab nalu gekhab jenkhalapa jamling nalu shipsel bebugi te lashuda tui evidence base be bego se shunibila ngachigi beuda ra kaga midi beni mi se shunibi Daregi evidence until now all points towards more advantages of taking Moderna or Pfizer as the second dose to AstraZeneca. Anila. Let me repeat again. The evidence is very clear towards more efficacious of taking Moderna or Pfizer as second dose to AstraZeneca. Tahani di template di ngachi Bhutan nalu nami simi fit beume esa shunibi kachim sawachin gyakab lalu chinalu first dose there are 5-6 vaccines that have been rolled out la ngachi chimsa gyakab nalu minje jidechi roll out beila gyakab jeminalu ngachi gyakab na di first dose be ngachi AstraZeneca cham chilege mapchi esa shunibi. And now the researchers from UK ki research yula, first study, Spanish ki study yula, French ki studies chidu, ani ki shipsel karanalu, you will have more protection if you take Moderna or Pfizer, one of the messenger RNA vaccines, as your second dose to your first dose of AstraZeneca sedula. So if you have taken your first dose as AstraZeneca, now it is up to you to decide which one you want to take. So shunibi. Ngachi hunde nipchara phuila. AstraZeneca phui, Moderna phui. Moderna being a messenger RNA based vaccine. Nipchara phuila. Toto chunsugi shipsel research this way UK lu benu, France lu benu, Spain lu benu la. Ansu karagi ngache tengachiri Dr. Kechosugi nana kalabdara ansu labdola. Ansu karagi you will have better protection if you take one of the messenger RNA vaccines as your second dose to AstraZeneca seyula. Tani chi te kencho wachin tengaragi be wachin message de kara tinachame. Ani chi kencho wachin you will know the reason exactly why I took Moderna as my second dose to my first dose of AstraZeneca seshunibi. Mapadi karagi su phala rangi su di rangira pha seshunibi. I also would like to have the maximum protection by using a safe vaccine. Na politician is a misegi donga pato juning itulu. I wouldn't risk my life la. As a professional, as a medical practitioner, I cannot bring politics ahead of efficacy of a vaccine session. Tani benidigi, tangachigi beuchi benidigi be tinanalu tokpa tu tokpa chami ringire yudome. Teta ti tu tokpa chami go session la. Tanalu tiwa. Sixth question D, which vaccine to choose from for second dose for someone who was not pregnant during the first dose sedula and then who became pregnant later sedu tinadi tangagi bewachinti kimi se shunibila. Choice of vaccine to as your second dose definitely is one of the messenger RNA vaccines if you want to decide based on evidence la. If your first dose is AstraZeneca, and now if you are deciding to take your second dose based on evidence, that is, second dose should be one of the messenger RNA vaccines. Now, if you want to go by hearsay, please decide on which one you want to take. Pregnancy bewachin ani ngachi COVID-19 gi vaccine di absolute contraindication phytoche mi seshunibi. If you are pregnant, please decide whether you want to take or not. Either way is not wrong la. Either way is not wrong. Hema tama thumega bewachin breastfeeding mothers the pregnancy di not recommended situila because pregnant women and breastfeeding women were not included in the trial phase. But later on, as time went by, from collected evidence of pregnant women who had taken vaccines have found out that there was no much risk la. Now the suggestion and recommendation is please decide based on evidence. So whether you want to take or not to take, either one is not wrong. My personal suggestion and recommendation would be it is better to take because it doesn't pose extra risks. There is no extra side effects because you are pregnant or because you are breastfeeding. Your own family members who are breastfeeding have taken the vaccinations. So the vaccination is side effect on pregnancy, the breastfeeding dun obvious bekane mila. Whereas as a pregnant mother, pregnant woman, if you contract the disease, if you get COVID-19, then you have numerous side effects on yourself because your immune system is little distorted because of pregnancy and on the baby that you're carrying. The issues nami If you run a very high fever, that has numerous complications on your pregnancy la. Tanzume benidigi, risks of the disease is far more than slight fever and mild flu-like symptoms from the vaccination. Tani benidigi lenchimi di trabe sengaragi tebe sui, so makemi yo teta kadebe bedero tup semi yobachin. It is better if you take vaccination while you are pregnant, irrespective of the gestational age of the pregnancy, or if you are breastfeeding, irrespective of the age of the child la. The main lenchawachin travese tengari honle tebe shudo se shunibinda. The tiwa dumbadi bewachin children below 18 years old were not given first dose, but some have attained the age of 18 now. Will they get the first vaccine? Ta ani ngachigi tare yumigi Moderna di Pfizer, Moderna da AstraZeneca, Sinopharm di they are eligible to be given to 18 plus charm chi ila. 18 gi malami 17 and below the Pfizer charm chi allowed di Pfizer di ngachi gya kamna lo to we have only 5,000 doses la. Tani di 5,000 di ngache children below 17, those who are residing in Phinsuling and pockets of lockdown in Samchi ana phidola. Tana gi alu chankaya tongtha shiri chiraime, tana tongthanga di chiraime ana khonu phido se shunibi. Then few children that we are referring them out to Kolkata and CMC Belor anusulu phidola. The few students, 8-9 students who are due to go out for their studies, 18 years malami atire du anusulu ngachigi phido the Jemi Pfizer minindi ki phimisubela. But the good news is Moderna below 18 gi alusulu trial be test be is proven safe and effective, and they have applied for rukhora gi license gi to apply be se shunibela. Tani company the US benidigi all drugs that needs to be used in human beings will have to have FDA approval la. Khore phagi licensing authority gi approval go la FDA gi. Tani FDA gi approval to apply bedai. We are 100% sure it will come out approved any time la. Tani beshle ngachigi the 18-year-old and below loe the Moderna gi the pyu se shunibi. Te ngachigi calculation nara yula. So danja first dose gi time nalu lochop gi malama menkap lema sumidisu tare menkap lena se shunibila. The menkap lemikaplu choice ding achigi pila. For first timers, you are eligible for Moderna, AstraZeneca or Sinopharm yu se shunibe. Ani sumle che ka thuda demchi the jena se shunibila. If you want to ask me or if you want to take the best one be watching, the obviously is Moderna yi se shunibe. Yet ngachara Mr. Daumato no satam ta shimi da mashimi kar Allah se ko se du se benidigi the choice ding achigi AstraZeneca the Sinopharm phido for those who want to take those who are eligible for the first time this time la ngachigi phido se shunibe. For little extra information, tare AstraZeneca first time jimi imachin kongi second dose will be after 12 to 16 weeks in la. The Moderna the Sinopharm tare first dose be jebachin kongi second dose will be in 4 weeks time se shunibin la. 3 to 4 weeks na lo the kongi the second dose the jisup se shunibin, that is within a month la. But knowing the basics of immunology and vaccine ki body reaction ngagi atire shinindigi 4 weeks na chamatsuru kimi se shunibe la. You can take it in the 5th week, 6th week, 10th week namra chabduru tub se shunibe. But within 4 weeks, 2 weeks na chabachin, 3 weeks na chabachin chuki body ki reaction de ati less be la. Longer the gap between the two vaccine doses, better the protection will be se titevara yu se shunibe. The only risk is if the gap becomes too long in between the two doses, your risk of getting the disease in between the doses increases la. Because first dose gi response in your body atire deep jobe, second dose the take the time na hugobila. Then your immune system will kick up and it will remain longer in action. So on the first dose gi effect the less joy, second dose the mahubachin, then anigi window period na you are actually susceptible to get the disease la. But when you take the second dose, how much ever delayed it may be, you will get the same effect la. Anibindigi delay is not a worry in terms of your future protection. The only risk was before you got the second dose, you would have been exposed to little higher risks of getting the disease la. 다니치 따도나 켄 유미디 수기 된나 레지메 고아치 렌베베 되나 따도나 저마 수미디 수다 미세 하모 코미디 수 수나 수바친 아니가처라 취비 다수의 주일 아니기베 다리 캅디기 케펜디 마시바 캅잡시에니 세 노사당 뒤미디수 캅 마차바 자다니 세 투다체 뒤미디수로 때또동아치기 나부루 슈 나부기 아찌찌 차게 박디기베 미실루 고다 투치 베베 아니 캅 미찹 세미 미세디 캅 잡다바친 코 니지 마토바 뒤니게 고캅 소찹 베도 좀치기 잡주디 나기 피우이메 나기베 미티 잡조 렌디기베 캅 잡다바친 디기베 미데치 커뮤니티치 프로텍션 원이게 고캅 두라 소 아니 세타레다 세치몰로 페밀라치 하가 경가나 까미 피워 줘도 숨기 캐펜 유라 다니베니 디기라 Tengara Jundilgi Honli Iroe, I want more people living in Bhutan to be covered by vaccination. Professionally Iroe, I know it saves lives, precious lives. Tani Beniding Agi, Tenga Kokap Shudi different platforms na Lushudo Seshunivela. Katsa afternoon I had a Zoom session with all the Zondas, Tasha Zondas. Evening na I had a Zoom session with all the Gups, Mangmis, Chiogi, Tshongpas, and Ukalapagi, me, Koshek, Minship, the Chikakara, Sundu Pila. Then this morning, I had a long session with the educationists in the country. RUB, Tasho, Visile Gutsu, college ki presidents, college ki lecturers, schools ki principals, teachers, DEOs, almost 700-800 individuals, Sundu Chipini, Kokap Tobbe, Ta Tilepa, Ko that is students, the parents, Lukongi Beon, se, Girawakido, se Shunibi. Then, this afternoon, I had again a very, very interactive sessions with Jun Tasala. Tengachara Leso Lube, Zula Lube, Zonka Kechigi, Lam Nete, Tengachiki Tsukde, Soso Sosonabigi, the Kembo Disu, Uzin Disungachakara, Sundichi P. Seshunivila, Taningachara Karagi, the Ko Lendi Misilu Ko that he sang Sabe Besubachin. It will only at the end of the day benefit the nation, say Naralebachin. I'm feeling it very passionately, Seshunivi. Question number 8D. My wife has epilepsy. She got her first dose but experienced some adverse side effects. Can you please advise how to go about for the second one? I'm worried. Last now epilepsy do side effect atse wahi semela. Epilepsy da vaccination side effect pana nami semi khebar mi se shunibi. This gentleman's wife had epilepsy and had suffered from some adverse side effects. But many people who did not have epilepsy also had side effects. Many people who had epilepsy and taken the vaccines did not have side effects. So, the epilepsy the side effect pana correlation me se shunibi. Please continue with normal medication of your epilepsy. Come and take the vaccinations like any other person se shunibi la tutsage yura mi se shunibi. Please do not mind. This time round, side effect danje che kachuinga dinga shunimi. The side effects the chatim namigi features the kahara side effects bratsila. Gunani, lethargic feel beni, zu trivalani, mutsikini, kansilasinani, joint ache, body ache, ansukara flu gi symptoms ila. Tataregi COVID-19 gi side effect da chatim gi side effect nale. Nami semi achiu chap running nose the side effect when nami semi mitho obsessionibi. Normal flu gi symptoms dale running nose, heavy running nose da sneezing di. Satim na bewachin ani oni vaccination ge side effect be ani mithopla. Kachim se wachin tare gachi ki vaccine lemigi di live virus menla. Whereas normal flu na di live virus gibe ngachi nose infection thebe running nose omede ani imela ani benidigi mild running nose chithyo sibebe mejola tani benigi tachi tiwa kyuminalo side effect kachi oinga dinga gi shunimi tibyoda elsewhere gakab jenkhalu messenger RNA based vaccine Moderna or Pfizer chamigi khab disunalo side effects odalo that the constitutional flu like symptoms di ani di ati masu chi omila di mappalera khab gi rajira ila ngachirigi ta phekena shuachi ani khab di shu unity gi se shunibi khab is more potent la because the injection is more potent your body tend to react little more aggressively tan bindigi ta tare Moderna jemi dislu side effect ati masu thyola the baby showachin the ngagi first dose the ngachira jimi drukara zumbe the AstraZeneca chapchila ani chapda khap chapsu sago na achi chi ngimgi sumchi naila the nga zu jimi features kane mathun se shunibi te tise zangimi se Moderna chapchila Moderna chapbe de zangima nima yupchi churu yupchile te ani injection site de achi masuchi nai khatsa ngimchi de yupchi halamchi te labia thusu masuchi bera naila. Then I had mild fever, I had slight chills and rigor, I had whole body ache for the whole Sunday day la. Khatsa ngimchira te zu achi madikaka chu taktabe dui se shunibela. Yet I could continue with all my routine activities. Ngara shenzum zo jami zum begomi la begomi de sokara ata halu bere besuchi se shunibe te tas trova nomi gale te ta khatso achiti diuchi be dino se shunibe la tani benindi side effect achichi tare masuchi omi. After vaccination, if you face little more fever, chills, rigor, body ache achire thomachin, that is an indirect indication that your body is reacting to the vaccination that you just took se shunibe la. Last that the human question is the vaccine for 11-year-old and above or 18-year-old and above? Need clarification. Last la question dinga lejme hai mako. Tani question 11-year-old and above the ina 12-year-old 18-year-old and above ina se mela. Tani di nabagi di nabale gutsu dinga chigi roll out bemidi kar 18-year-old plus cham chira I se shunibela. Lochobge malami disu ngachigi shule rupale nawa topda todon Moderna di lochobge malami nawara mila the nawa di darinabara thungsigi rewakido ani nawa di omchira te ngachigi mise karulu toru ko datu beshna pham disulu ko datu bebe adulo chungi da chobge gi panai so kisho se ngachigi chabra beong se shunibi dinadi masho chira pham disulu chabra beong the cup dinga chigi lobrana be piu se shunibela ani bindigita nabadi nabale dunta chigi ringlo khapchaminadi alu lochobge malami diso jemada se jeba chomada se shunibela las ta tiwa chungi chuthamginadi ugen semichi mela pho ugenina mo ugenina de mashita ugen semichi gi tino. We have some of our expatriate workers who have come after the first jab of vaccine, whereby missed it. Now when we register them, they get first dose or second dose. Lastla. Ani ngachi mano tiwana labime laluchi gyakap jenkale phi gyakap jenkale ngachi nalo te labe omi yuse. Dekho hemagi dose de maleme taregi dose de first be tiu second be tiu se lojumela. Ani first dose the second dose the national campaign the Nabale Gutsumini second dose ki campaign ila. But whether is the first or the second one for that person depends on whether he or she has taken the previous dose or not la. Kab hema machaba tare first time chabachin and the first dose be tiu se shunibi. Nyama lenchawachin tare the second dose be tiu se shunibi. Kab gi topdang de tas tachinga gutsub da shuila. Any human being, any individual 18 plus living in Bhutan are eligible to get the vaccination in Bhutan. Drup chamchi mense shunibe. Tani binidigi nabugi tata laluchi jindabe te cheda chika labi mi gyakab chimsa gyakab na legi mi yobo laluchi chimsabre chabbetina labi mi chimsa gyakab ge mi kap hema machami yobo chame yobo hema machami yomachin tare ten tambam di lema chuna se shunibe. Hema chapchap yobachin tare ten nibam di chaba chona ase shunibela. Hema AstraZeneca jibe dunta chudu malami yure chona la. Dunta jide chil hasobachin second dose de jedaba kimi se shunibela. Tani benidigi second dose Moderna shini imachin first dose AstraZeneca beroe te dongwa chil hasobachin lejimi me jini ki tuse renchuno jeda ase shunibela. Your second dose of Moderna for your first dose to AstraZeneca is due if it is beyond 4 weeks. You need not wait for 16 weeks. Now, if your first dose was AstraZeneca, and if you are taking second time AstraZeneca, if you want to wait for the ideal duration in between the watching, then please wait for 16 weeks. But if you want to take it within 16 weeks, after 4 weeks, anytime you are eligible to take your second dose. Last 11 question I have an 11-year-old son who is SLE nephritis. I know children of his age will be given either Pfizer or Moderna. Will it be okay for him to receive vaccine se dula? So anyway, the 11-year-old di toto Pfizer allowed me se shunibela. There is no vaccine that is allowed for a 11-year-old. Pfizer is allowed only from 12 to 17 ila. Moderna will be allowed from 12 to 17 anytime soon. Toto approval matobla. Tani benidigi, tana tiwakumi di lose chuchi benidigi, lose chuchuli pemigi cup toto chapchobigi kabra mi se shunibela. 11 year on below, there is no COVID vaccine that is allowed to be used. But for your information, Pfizer and Moderna have applied for license to be used, are doing any studies la. Studies beyond 6 months na loko shipsel bedo se shunbe not applied, sorry la. Pfizer and Moderna are doing research for their vaccines to be used beyond 6 months onwards la. Tani beni digi tige the anytime soon thong sera no me se shunbe as of today the mi se la. But SLE se migi digi ngachi zuka the nishi digi the yupchi gutole makami cho chunse karalu nubila. The SLE give a kedo nubi, SLE give a liver nubi, SLE give a lungs the heart nubi. Totona tiokumidi, SLE nephritis ime kidney numichi imela. The tachi kondo shudo zumbe, niji kachi euro, ngachara min kachira sadi euro, COVID-19 gi kapchama to bigi nijida, kapchama to bigi min mi sessionbi. You are eligible to get the vaccine irrespective of your underlying medical conditions and medications that you on la. Next question, what should be the time gap between the two doses? Last Moderna, AstraZeneca Bewachin, the best time is to wait until 12 to 16 weeks dula, so that your second dose, after your second dose, you get the maximum benefit imela. But you will get some sort of good benefit if you take the second dose anytime after 4 weeks la. Better will be 12 to 16 weeks later. But other vaccines kara the Johnson and Johnson gi bewachin dose chirai la. So the issue about the gap between two doses doesn't arise. Whereas other than AstraZeneca, rest of the vaccines are all 4 weeks in session la. So time gap between the two doses of all the vaccines is 4 weeks, whereas AstraZeneca be watching 12 to 16 weeks ime. But real vaccination gi principles that are tibachin, the any time, whatever is the time limit, chugi second dose the first dose le pana nami se me yurimi asuno se ko maja se shunibela. Anytime, whenever you are possible, whenever you have the opportunity, please take the second dose because it will have very good impact la. Last, that chusub di bewachin pimo chule imela. Pimo chugi sumi me. My mother was suffering from cancer and she had chemotherapy treatment. Because of that, she didn't get her first dose. Can you advise me about it? Similar. Tani. The cancer nabe chemotherapy chabiga imachin the vaccination chabra chabni se zu dingdi yumis be watching kimi se shunibe. You can take the vaccine, but chemotherapy alone can actually make the life of that person miserable la. Chemotherapy ra simisubla. Chemotherapy has very, very toxic side effects. Ani gulu vaccine side effect de kebe be watching, it would almost be intolerable for that person la. Tani benidigi that chemotherapy chabi kablu bewachin the cancer nadigi be menkana dubi kab bewachin ngache vaccine the avoid be is shunibi. Now the question is nyama first dose chabi kablu chapsa sau ime chemotherapy chapsa sau ime tata tare kajabe beonga asime. My advice to Pima Ochu is please take your mother to a nearby vaccination post and take the vaccination la. Tani vaccine lema jui kablu chu ei hema cancer nanu lo chemotherapy chabnu lo vaccine mithob lo semi lojula mire themachin tengalu jutin tana se shunibela 17162399 na lo call bena. I will talk to that vaccination center nagi health expert lo ngagi talk be clarify be phuge se shunibi. If they stop your mother, they may not be wrong la. because chemotherapy chamilu vaccination machabru tup semigi information chi yu se shunibila. Last Diwa Chuji di bewachin, what is the plan for Phuentsholing and other high-risk areas? Will there be another mass testing before the vaccines are administered? Please shed some light. Say mela. Laso tana dudi the Phuentsholing ma lockdown na jumichi oni me yachin malu dewa yumi gi mingom chi oni mela. I would say is a very good question. Tani di question, straight question di, will there be a mass screening test before vaccination? Say ime. Tani gi answer di, we can answer in two ways la. What we are designing now, in fact, as we talk, the TAG team and NITAG team, National Advisory Group on COVID-19 semigi expert ki group chi, NITAG se National Immunization Advisory Group se immunization gura kecho ki group chi yula. NITAG is chaired by Dr. Mimi and TAG is chaired by Dr. Sunamochula. So ani vidyabda, ani di mass screening bedaroe kimi se shunibila. Mass screen maberoe kimi se shunibi. For vaccines, one thing for sure is those who are symptomatic, be it to COVID-19 or any other non-COVID flu, symptom yumilung achigi vaccination mifula. That is the norm of vaccination. While your child is having fever, we will not vaccinate their child. We will defer the vaccination for a day or two or a week. Tani zumbe, Phuentsholing lu tare lockdown na jumidi soe, symptomatic yovachin, we will not offer the vaccine. Whereas if you do not have symptom, we will offer the vaccine se shunibila. Whether you are carrying the virus or not, if you are not symptomatic, teti vaccine jedaba kimi se shunibi. Whereas if you are overtly full-blown COVID-19 yube, niji yobachin, tengachigi niji de mata chunsuchi vaccine puni mi se shunibila. Tani bini digi, todo kecho susunde namiga yu, screening beunga mibegadi tengagi shunimi, but COVID naamisimi rampant be asobachin. If we have massive COVID-19 in the area, we normally postpone or defer the vaccination day because we will have more people with COVID-19 la. The Phuentsholing that is so far we have very good reports. We only have very few cases. The whether screen or not, we will offer vaccination to the Phuentsholing residents la. Anichi taringagi lende anayi yusashunibina. Question 15 D. What about the ones who are supposed to take first dose, meaning where and when? Routine vaccination happening in nearest health center. What about the ones who are supposed to take first dose? Last tari first time vaccinate bewa chemidi su segi lojume tani first time vaccinate bewa chemigi cohort sumyu la ngachi gya khamnalo sumyu chi danja first dose phi kablu khacha chunche lochob ge malami disu imela ta tarile lochob ge nasome disu te naba vaccination first time shiba chung se chi di anila. Second cohort di gyakap jenkhale ngachi gyakap nalo Druk lo chumi diso gyakap jenkha jubi kaplu vaccine mathoba logna chumi diso te naru atara ngachi gi vaccine phudre yundi gi masho jedai tare chunchu majimi diso te cohort ni bani anime sumadi gyakap jenkhale ngachi na labe o chumi diso ila te khonchacha first timer diso. Please walk to any vaccination post and declare that you are taking for the first time la. The men chapthang men gi kara chora thila. There will not be separate special vaccination post for first timers. Chora thibi phu se shunibi. For vaccination jiba chemdaloe line chiraila. You will have to be in the same line. Just because you are coming for the first time, you will not be kept behind la. Preference second timer loe mifi. Of course, preference hello mitopla. San bindigi same line follow bebe chena se shunibi. Wherever you are from, wherever you have registered your vaccination requirement, you will be eligible for your vaccination from any post in the country la. Chera tap ka disale jena se shunibi. Tatare ngachi nabali gutsu be the campaign is for a week la. Te 1 week na iru menu chapgo de so ki thusam jeme on tebe men se shunibi. Tap atire madiwachin, please delay it. It's okay la. As long as you take it, it's okay for us. Tengachigi 1 week duration zogomidi As I told you, we have 1,200 vaccination posts in the country la. Nam semi yu khara na vaccination post tain la ngachigi. Tani di mise kantobe lage lumpucha bomogopchi se gi kepin pipuin la. If you avail the opportunity during this campaign week, you will get it from your nearby places la. Vaccination team is coming to your villages. Whereas if you are not able to take this advantage during the week, then you might have to walk or you might have to go to regular health clinics la. BHUs the Tshongpa hospital na Chongo se shunibe la. The difference the anim chirai the tare gi 1 week na iru meru chapo se mi se shunibe. Ta formally ngachi campaign di nabale roll out bedola. Common sense says that we have it for 6 days and even after that. Anibidebda, please decide to take the vaccine, but it is absolutely not necessary to crowd out the vaccination post tomorrow la. Naba 1-2 days na nam semi ragam chap di chongo se chale mi se shunibe. Khab din mala lambe yula. Dunta chi girin lu khab cham di sun te khab jiba chemi di su gudra dion se shunibe. Danja gi vaccination first dose gi campaign na loe. First 3 days was overtly crowded la. On the 4th day onwards, all vaccination posts were very light la. Waiting time ra maybe asi la. First 3 days la ngache line be te yuki manishe besumba sutain la. Dani benidigi the urban places na la pha, crowded places Thimphu la pha jumi ta pinsuning lockdown benidigi. Please don't worry, we'll make separate announcements la. Che chimi gi chora umbe chapni na or certain zone nalu mega zone nalu chapni na lockdown do the chapni na tarikho ya sunde na do one of these days we'll make announcements la. Te jankha gi disu masho chi gachara te milop masa Thimphu ba be disu imachin te jeni di kadbe iru dinta chi gi nangkhena jena but tama gi ngimchingi chila ragam chapdi di machiro to obsession be la. Last question 16. Top ge le email top ge. Is it okay to take Sinopharm for the first dose la? Is it okay to take Sinopharm for the first dose? So to be theoretically correct, yes se shunibi la. If it is not okay, ngachi ki distributor mabiyon se shunibi. So it is okay to take the first dose as Sinopharm la. If you are taking Sinopharm as your first dose, you will be eligible for your second dose in about 4 weeks se shunibi la. And second dose will preferably be Sinopharm la. Ta if you are going to take your vaccination for the first time and if you are asking me which one to take of the 3, Sinopharm, Moderna and AstraZeneca le khadi taga se bewachin te by far Moderna asita se shunibela just for your information topge. But yet if you have your personal reason to take Sinopharm, all the best la ti matubmi se shunibela. Question 17. Since we have received 5 lakhs doses of Moderna vaccine, and if every citizen agrees to take Moderna jab, how sufficient will it be for the younger ones? Imela. Laso kadiche ela. Tani ngachigi first dose nalo. Danjagi AstraZeneca chamigi first dose na chami 4,90,000 yuila. 4,90,000 who have taken the first dose of AstraZeneca as the first dose yuila. Ane benidigi ngachina available 5 lakhs di will be only enough for adults more than 18 years old as their second dose la. The younger lot who will be between 12 and 17 years old nalu di Moderna lambe mi se shunibela. Moderna di age group between 12 and 17 na ngache alu almost 90,000 de chula 86,000 de chu se shunibi. For that we are already in dialogue with both Moderna and Pfizer la. Ani company if chada chika ngache dialogue jodo we will make enough vaccines available for our children who will be turning eligible age group la. So thank you for your concern, but please do not worry se shunibi la. Question 18. How long second dose would last in our body? Will it protect us until the end of COVID situation? Dawawachu laso. Dawawachu, you have a very good question, and the whole world experts are looking for this answer la. How long will the protection of second dose last in our bodies? I mean, that's a very good question la. The other way round of saying this is, will we need a booster dose? If the protection doesn't last long, after that we will need a booster dose. Some countries are already talking about booster dose. That means any lifelong indication. There are some vaccines like BCG, tuberculosis vaccine, lifelong like tetanus, diphtheria, DPT semidisumela. Tani disudi maashochi lifelong dutubla. Tewada te ani tatogi COVID-19 vaccine the lifelong dutinu zumbi di mitome semichi. The experts are already talking about it. That's why they're already preparing for a booster dose session. Tani bini digi chuki question di nami semi lejimi, but the scientists are looking for answers to this. As and when the answers become available, tengachi chelu shung session. Question 19. Why we high-risk people are not given second dose first? Laso. Why we high-risk people se sumi mela? Ani pinsuning da samsi jumichi onime. Analu, I will, before answering the question, let me correct your question la. No individual is high-risk la. The place is high-risk. Place is high-risk because it's adjoining the border benedigi se shunibi la. So ani benedigi, why we are not given second dose first ime preference kachibe mafiu se imela. The first to second dose dira ngachi naba rollout bedola. The naba rollout bengale throughout the country ngachi ki pido se shunibi. If you have realized, or if you have not realized rather, ani herd immunity di same time na attain begobila. It just doesn't make sense by vaccinating people living in high-risk group if people living in the low-risk group are not vaccinated. Sanbini ngachi 1 week nalu, as many people living in Bhutan as possible must be vaccinated to attain the herd immunity in the shortest possible time. Tanbini ngachi ki tata vaccine di Moderna da AstraZeneca lambe mapale mathoba jodob imachin tengachi thabra mibachin. Todongachi ki stock na yumigi 68,000 of AstraZeneca yumidi. Tengachi ki ma pinsuni da samjongka samchilaba yumigi misulu pyugon de semichingachi sundunaila. But then now that we have enough doses for every Bhutanese, enough and more actually. Ani benidigi tengachi kara fasbe pyudose shundibindata. We are not leaving anyone in the second line. All people in the country are given first preference la. Last question number 20D. If the people have already received second dose from other countries and now they are here in Bhutan, do they need to vaccinate again? The answer is no. The dose sangi jesawachin te jimigo seshunibi. That would be my straight answer la. Now for those professionals who are listening and for those educated Lord who wants to have little more in-depth govachin, is not just the number of doses you took la. Is your body's reaction to the vaccination you have taken. Body's reaction will only be known by measuring your antibody titer la. Tani bidyobda second dose lensaru. Lensa digibe, if you are in doubt, you will need to check your blood level, antibody level seshunibing la. Tani antibody di acceptable limit le higher be yovachin, indicating that you are protected. If it is not up to the benchmarking range yovala, then you need a booster dose la. Third dose you go la. So that question is do not have an easy answer. So layman na bewachin changi chabda bachin mongo. But whoever has asked me this question, if you have taken 2 doses and if you want to know, I can help you to get your blood antibody checked la. If your antibody level is not up to the mark, then I would definitely recommend you to take a third dose seshunibi. Ta ani shutaudalu, to give you some scientific information. There are 4-5 countries in the world where they have taken some vaccines before la. Notably Sinopharm, Tsani chapsamidiso, protection level namasimi minidigi, kon third dose chapdo seshunibi la. Some countries where there are 2 rounds of AstraZeneca chabbe laluchigi, based on personal choice, third jab chilende, and all these countries nalu, third jab lemidi, they are trying to get a messenger RNA based vaccine, either Moderna or a Pfizer lendo se shunibe la. I think if you understand what I'm saying, and if you read in between the sentences that I'm using here, probably you can write a book on this la. And it utilize Bena for the information of the educated lot here la. What are the chances, to question number 21, what are the chances of getting infected with COVID even after the second jab? Laso, another good question la. Second vaccinate besau daloe, what are the chances of you getting the infections email? If you have understood my previous answer to the previous question, I think answer is partly given la. All bodies do not react similarly. All of us do not develop enough antibodies to protect you from getting the disease. So ani benidigi ani vaccine gi advantage di ngachi zukhalu hampa ngibe yula. There are two types of or two ways we can benefit from the vaccination. One, you will be totally protected from the infection. That means after vaccination, after getting the second dose, you will not get COVID-19 infection. So the absolute protection from getting the infection is about 60% if you take 2 doses of AstraZeneca. Whereas if you take 2 doses of messenger RNA based vaccine, or if you take second dose of messenger RNA to your first dose of AstraZeneca, totongachi mixed mode with pimidi, ani vaccination ni jesawachin protection level of you getting the disease is almost 75% la. So total protection the animchi shunibi. The other advantage you will get is you may get the infection, but you will never go on to have severe disease la. Even if you get the infection, you will never require hospitalization. Your signs symptoms will not be so unbearable. Hani di 95% le more yula. After taking 2 vaccines, COVID-19 will not be a severe disease in your body. Nam same advantage yula. So ani tachi question di, what are the chances of me getting infection semidi tani fasna tubila? You will have almost about 30 to 40% chance of getting the infection after the first dose. If you have, after the second dose, sorry, if you have taken 2 doses of AstraZeneca, your chances of reinfection is almost about 40%. Whereas if you have taken a mixed mode vaccination or 2 doses of messenger RNA vaccine, your chances of getting reinfection is about 20 to 25%, 25 to 30%. Getting the infection. But protection from going on to have severe disease is almost 95%. Last, question 22. Is there a probability of traveling within Bhutan without quarantine after the second dose? Last, COVID norms relaxation after the second dose. The answer is yes. Yes. But a lot will depend on how many people living in Bhutan are vaccinated. Have we actually attained herd immunity? Herd immunity the attain bedabachin. There will be lot of restrictions on the COVID norms. Herd immunity attain bematsubachin. Some restrictions will still go on because COVID-19 it will still go on to have public health impacts. So herd immunity attain beningi tare Delta variant gi almost about 80% of people living in the country must be vaccinated. Tanbini tarengagi te nami simi tsagi landi gi be shogomine din chidi anila. Herd immunity attain betsupera bego ose. Herd immunity attain bedabachin te ngachi COVID-19 gi norms relax besube. Lockdown se mapalera bemigoni me. Import export to shar jotuni me. Gyakab gi economy will come back to pre-COVID ki era. Ngachi market na gi commodities tsongi gunya zede se me. Aniswe mahpab josuni me. Almost about 3,500 to 4,000 students who have finished the class 12 every year go out for their graduation degree courses on their own expenses la. Tare anisu phytoche jomosuba yuila. Ta aniswe josuni me se te rewanami simi bombe kido se shunibi. So all of us, let's try our best to get everyone who are eligible 18 plus the vaccinate benigi tunu gachi gitsa genge se shumidi ti se shunibila. Ya, it's juma ta ma chuche sunagena. Last question 23. Will there be any special arrangements for senior citizens la? Our answer is yes la. Senior citizens se menkap jeba chunkari chana se shunibi tangachi gi pha chemdalu the line na jumogopchi rangi phami me the lukishapchi ngachi gi tsiu se shunibi la. The senior citizens ngachara lü shaushure yube chemidi sudi tangachi gi sago nalu tangachara desup charo sugira charo be pyu se shunibi ta ti tu go mati ngachi gi charo be pyu la. Ta mappalera lü shaushu the logi gijogira chau matuba Teta Shaptobe Chera Masumi Numkhona Chera Masumi disu Tengache Tata Tokyobe Jana Sengachi Lokchira Shui the Nedam na Yumigi Suigi Kechusu Berutube Zonda Gap Dilen Tsokpagi Isana Berutube Temiru Jutinaru 1010112121 Ansu Katera Narutubla Tanus Namachin Tengache tare duntachi the gelyongi lerimdi ju duchin tengache menka babe meyopsu the china pure town se shunibila ta mapalera lugi chau matuba chi chomasumi disudi tengache gi pyu se shunibi to tebe shudalu min chimshe de menkap chaba oni de se china jumada se shunibila didi chancha bewachin menkap china hyure pyumisuni on se shunibila the lu shau shu sudi ga chi cha shu se shunibi. How long the vaccination program going to be? Is it for a week long as the first dose? Last 2 days la. Navale gutsudi inse kechi 2 sunse la duntachi gi rinui duntachi gi shule vaccination menka mitopse mi la. Tebda rangi ngedap gi sago na mitopla. Menka na chongo se shunibi. Todo bewachi gachi yushe chiwokshe di tangdo la. The duntachi gi jable da ani di mi ngedap gi menka na le di top se shunibi la. Is heterologous regime best option similar? The best option dera bewachin Moderna da Pfizer gi kabni first dose de tichap second dose de tichamidi se shunibila. Best option in the world di Pfizer beru Moderna beruchi first dose de tichap second dose de tichamidi se shunibi. First dose di tichama tsubachin, second dose di ani le chi shedabachin ani ime se shunibila toto heterologous semidi ani imela. So regime gi tele teru nipshara Moderna da Pfizer chap subachin ti ime ti machabi ule heterologous odula hamba madu le sha yula heterologous semidi kap tamam di da nibam di madu bechamidi imela. Ani kap madau zodi di chamada semidi ti se WHO ki expert digi te sumidi ti se shunibila. Ta heterologous ki tele shipsel bebe misilu peme se tunsumidi first dose di AstraZeneca chap second dose di Moderna or Pfizer ki chamid gi heterologous di bewachin kepen yu se tuila ngachi gi phumi gi heterologous di Kepin Yumi, second first dose AstraZeneca chap, second dose Moderna chamidi se shunibila. Ta tise WHO gi am sominathan gi heterologous kap karalla si machap tama lakha beon dangerous 10 semidi first dose ka beruchi, second dose ka yupchi, third dose chabachin toru matauchi be tochum giu de semidlu ji jabe sunsum zumchi ngaragi tebe sui te mogi logdi sechichi beode tebra se. Katobbe on a very random basis be vaccine mix be with the dangerous 10 ime leave it up to the policy makers and experts to decide se mogi develop imela tani bini digi toto ngachi gi phumi gi heterologous mado lesha yuminale first dose AstraZeneca second dose Moderna or Pfizer messenger RNA based vaccine phumi gi heterologous de ila ngachi Bhutan na phumi gi heterologous di bewachin AstraZeneca lente ngipchara AstraZeneca chamin diodi lente tama AstraZeneca chap lente ngiba Moderna chamidi tabe se benidigi tengachi gi tipido ose shunibila tatonga gi shumidi na kechusugi Yuntu yumi educated sugi lejimbe digest bena ase shunibi. There are many heterologous formula that are being practiced elsewhere la. And heterologous se uchin is not only about one regime la. It's about many regimes. Any vaccination program that mixes up different vaccine mix is called heterologous. The one that is studied and proven more efficacious is the one that is given AstraZeneca as the first dose and messenger RNA based vaccination as the second dose. Any particular heterologous formula di cham efficacious is approved before you. First dose AstraZeneca chap, second dose, for example, Sinopharm. Ane mapa heterologous ime, ani study bibura mi se shunibila. First dose Sinopharm chap, second dose the AstraZeneca chapachin, ane heterologous ila, they study bibu mi se shunibila. The only heterologous formula that is studied and proven efficacious is first dose AstraZeneca and second dose messenger RNA based vaccination. Ani chamchi study baby is proven beneficial. Ngachi gya kam no pumide ani Canada ki follow bemide ani me, Australia ki follow bemide ani me, Scandinavian countries ki follow bemide ani me, Western European countries ki follow bemide ani me la. For the educated lot here, when you take an international reference, which other countries do you follow la? Northern American countries give standards, they are following this la. Scandinavian countries give reference, they are exactly following this heterologous mode. Western European country give standards, they are exactly following what we are offering la. Ani ime se shunwi la. Tani binidigi taridina educated lot, the civil servants through coordination of RCC Commission, the civil servants who halam chi onsenu rewakido. Is not the number of civil servants and educated lot who are participating in this Q&A. Is not the number, but is the depth or ability to understand the information that I am trying to share, and then going on to share the information that you have availed through this platform. The nagi kindigibe, nagi zasa, nagi cham tum charo tatosa, ukagi ngachirigi ukagi misidisulu, pampincha. Ni new charo uka dumidisule, tari churura jutin tandigibe, nagi ime, deme, tabe ngagi hakoi seming nesuldi, the tampil bemasubachin, it will only be that much good la. Tanichi nga nalu, that rewache ki besudip chipudo seshunivila. Last question 26 day. How many hours do we need to rest after vaccines la? Laso tani di mapa absolute rest di mungo seshunibi. Please do not alter your day-to-day activities because you are taking vaccine. Ta vaccine chabi nim se da ti nabadi te chala nami se mi khachi to yobachin te majabachin lejim ho se no me se shunibi. Kachim se wachin te fever re top chanchure chab te ati zu ati madika kabi judabachin te chala khachi to su zimisuni ho se no mela. The rest di kadimchi goga di terangi zugi nyubada topshuda tundi yanyo se shunibi. Ta junyop sugi honle ngachi civil servants lo RCS lo ngachi ki tebara shungla. Mapa mashure ki mi, you are eligible to take medical leave if you are not feeling well, but your offices will not be closed la. I am 100% sure you will not stay home if you are able to come to office. The tabre madi bewachinin teru ngeso judaba ki mi se shunibi la. The rest the number of days animchi go semidi mila. Ta for those who are regular heavy duty exercise namidiso. For those who are running a 10-kilometer run every day, gym na chemidiso bewachin. My suggestion is to avoid a day before your vaccination and avoid it on a day or two after that la. Please take a walk, maybe a short walk chibe. Rangi stretching disutsi, yoga disu nabe jedabadi kimi, but strenuous exercise immediately a day or two after your vaccination might aggravate your signs symptoms la, because your body through inflammation is reacting to the vaccination that you just took, and heavy exercise will also instigate or stimulate inflammation la. So two factors that causes inflammation in your body can actually superimpose each other la. Ani benidigi. strenuous exercise nam semi heavy bewachin te achi avoid na sun di regime me se shunibi mapa zedare nam semi nyanka bombi di mi se shunibi la. Last question number 27. Is it okay to be under the influence of alcohol during vaccination? Laso tilen mashu hema shuti thongenola. Last, is it okay to be under the influence of alcohol during vaccination? Say imela. Anidi taking lessons from the first vaccination campaign. Tengache first vaccination time nalu cha mapale tumicho sengachi ki tebe shube te masho gira. In fact, assuming an ideal situation, we have made an announcement saying 2 to 3 days before the vaccination, please do not consume alcohol. Sengachi ki tebe tainla. Tanshleru mi masho gira nami simi teba tamsiki di gebe nimgi sumchi hamale cha matuma tsagien du kapchaba chuila. The lalugi di kap jibe chunsi. Lalugi nimgi sumsu cha matuma du kap di chap kap chap so the zoo tuba atire lami zoo marika ka beingale. Then they started having fits la. Alcohol withdrawal symptoms to fits to the vaccination is agona gi lalu china hubda gi be beila. Then we were all confused. Was it because of vaccination side effects or is it alcohol withdrawal symptoms la? Hani mashiba, then we started allowing them to take alcohol la. The normal dose thuni beingale te kuani sign symptoms kare yesi. So it ultimately we found out that it was all because of withdrawal symptoms la. Tani bini digi taregina beudalu. We are advising people who are coming forward to take the vaccines not to get drunk, but we are allowing people to take the normal dose la. Ata ra jego migidi bewachin te jera jego be kimi se shunibe. Theoretically, scientifically, alcohol the vaccination gi direct cross reaction di mila. The only worrying feature is after vaccination you will be asked to stay back at least for half an hour. Machi immediate side effect the monitor benitulu ya sagonera ati gudyogo se shui ani shumide. Some side effects are life threatening la, like anaphylactic reaction that can happen in 10-15 minutes after the vaccination. Ani anaphylaxis di timely peak bema subachin te ngenkana misimi timely peak bedabachin. Again it is a easily manageable case ila. The danjagi first round of we had 8 people who had allergic reactions and one of them had severe anaphylactic shock la. Ngachina timpumen kana be the menju phi se shunibela. Tani danjagi reaction allergic reaction yumi khong gebdi the tare vaccination jimi chobla khonde. Ta they cannot be vaccinated with COVID-19 vaccines. Tani ngachi khong personally khong shusai se shunibe. Those who are listening, please don't worry la. They have been specially communicated to them. So none of you who have not been communicated belong to this group of 8 la. The two sagi mi se shunibe. The alcohol gidi tachi shudu zumberai charagi normal dose chi jebe chanala. Don't drink extra because chegi senses blunt thebe you might not be able to appreciate the signs symptoms of the vaccination la. Last question number 28. Will the residents of Phinsuling and other southern areas still fighting with the new cases arising daily be able to get vaccinated? As such, we are in dilemma how and when second dose last mapatinga tachi shusaila. Second dose the topga aseme tamnam seme sagela di new cases twendra unity ise tengache totoya keshusu kalabega yu vaccination the 100% piungla as soon as possible piungla tiboda test kadaka benina test baby punina lockdown ki time nara punina lockdown ki towards the end punina di aningache logistic the requirement karata do. The only thing that you all must know is if you are detected positive, your vaccination will be deferred until you turn negative se shunibela ani chiraila. Jendi che symptom ra mibachin niji yoga miga ki test time mungo se shunibe. If you are asymptomatic, it is okay to vaccinate se shunibela. But if there is widespread infection in the community, the ani spread the asobachin tengachi vaccination pimisu se shunibe. That is why nga danja the through BBS shudo zumbe tare 2 weeks ke lockdown begomidra anila. Lockdown digibe disease spread the contain mabewachin ngachi gi vaccinate bemisuni de segi te dobji gi be tare ngachi lockdown bebi it has served us very well. So far only very less cases are coming up. We only have 4 last 24 hours from Phinsuling. Tanale ngireila from community only 2. The 2 are from primary contact. Tiri kimi se shunibila. So anibindigi, please don't worry. You have taken enough trouble to serve the nation. Tare chema Phinsuling na samchilala phalo dodul kadam be ngingdam gupchul hab be dhumidi meongadari muchigi teta thugong dup seru. Gyakab gi cha shu seru techirai kadiga so nami semi yu se shunibila. Ta che chachab tab madyu gi sagona thin che chachab gi tab madyu digibe machi gyakab shenkha gi misis su achi che ata halu be duni yumidi te kadiga so chelu samdre yu se shunibila. Last question 29 di, what about people with other disease, diabetes, hypertension, TB? Is there any side effect? Laso Niji dau madau, hypertension, diabetes, TB, re yobachin, te tariki menkap digi tab madure mega asigi lojuime te tachi shusaila. Kimi se shunibe. There is no underlying disease that we can probably have that will complicate the vaccination program. The absolutely problem me, please do not worry of what diseases you could be having, or even if you are under any kind of medications, please do not worry. Be ready to take the vaccination. At the site of vaccination, our health experts will also ask you the same questions. If you have those conditions, please tell them that you have those conditions. Either they will ask you to take the vaccination or they will defer it for X number of weeks to a month. The chirtangidi diabetes law, hypertension law, cancer law, arthritis law, semisu kira mila. Kedo tsama tsutsubiure kimi se shunibi. Machara gendu gi niji se ani gendu islam bolata epilepsy gi convulsive disorders gi niji re kimi se shunibi la. Dilen machara gi ta nangbi gi hole imachin te lungkham lo, tipkham lo, peke lo, pene lo se leshadu tisue kimi se shunibi la. Lalu khasum bemidu ta nga nyafa gonsum sumilo semisule kimi la. Lalu chi shamajimidu Mapalera chaju be karze jumidu tisule kimi se shunibi. Lalun mapalera sha majiba jigo mapalera jima sumi yula strictly non-vegetarian bimidu tisule kimi se shunibi. This vaccine is actually very safe for every individual above 18 years old. Last diwa 30, question number 30 di. What about those who have already got their second jab from outside Bhutan? Do they have to undergo 21 days quarantine? Is there any probability of relaxation? Laso ani tachika shusaila. Ta after second dose, if we have managed to attain herd immunity, that is, if we can manage to vaccinate almost 80% of people living in the country, ngachi quarantine norms, 21 days quarantine for those who are coming from abroad, and 7 days quarantine norms for those who are traveling from high risk to low risk area. Lockdown ki conditions, zomzoruru ki conditions, ansukara dumtare relax jong se shunibi. But it's all subjected to whether we are able to attain herd immunity or not. Tani herd immunity benigitenlu, almost about 80% of people living in the country go bela. Michira kap thep chapsuru penla. Anbindi nabugi tarina jumidi sukaragi personal responsibility namdigi be. Please bring forward more people to get vaccinated so that we can all together relax our COVID norms. Last question 31. Will there be travel restrictions during vaccination? Nabale gutsu duntachigi rinlo tingema tamaina be watching achi zonkhana achi restrict be tarena mi se shunibila. There will be no travel restriction during vaccination campaign period, and you will be allowed to take vaccination from any vaccination site. Last question 32. Mr. Peldin Lemela, Peldin Damche Semichile Ime. If one was either detected COVID positive but now negative, will he or she be allowed? Yes, yes. Anybody who got COVID-19 and now detected negative majo chunchuchi ngachi vaccine mifila. Negative josai gane te kimi se shunibela. In fact, Nyama first round vaccine chab bebe tare COVID-19 topche wachin this infection can be your booster dose la. So hema first dose ngachigi na AstraZeneca jibe tare if you are infected 80% of the time you are infected with Delta variant ila. So your body would have made up immunity against this variant. So first dose vaccine chap, second dose the original infection the topcha wachin daregi dose the gene ki kokabe yu te ngaragi ane be scientifically ta wachin majiroe tumni zumbe jeume se shunibela that you all can decide la. Professionally speaking, the second dose the original infection digira phidap zumchi du majiroe tumni zume du, but to answer the question state, yes, you will be eligible as soon as you are detected negative la. Is any vaccine good if you have crossed 16 weeks? Telen shusaila. Yes, se shunibeila. 16 weeks mate 1 year ki shule chabre chugi effect di tebra diungla. You will have very good effect even if you take the next jab after a year. The only problem is during this period you are susceptible to the infection la. Ani chira se shunibe. Which vaccine would you suggest for people who are going to have their first jab this time? We are giving options of 3 vaccines la. AstraZeneca, Moderna and Sinopharm for those who are coming for the first time. But the question is straight towards me, which one will you recommend? My recommendation as your first time vaccine is definitely Moderna. Last, what are your plans after the second dose of vaccination? Will we be able to do business properly? Last turungan ya, but what are your plans? Nga ngi plan imdes no ila tibedi meme. Last nga namse sache lai nga ngi plan sachi shuda wonde se. Last mapa tachigi question da totogi di, will there be relaxation on quarantine norms semedida totogi tua? Will we be allowed to do our business properly after the second dose semini mapa chudi chora thebela tithang kheba chirai me? Yes, after the second dose, subjected to a condition of attaining herd immunity, we will be able to do our businesses properly. Herd immunity top vaccination second dose the khara 80% de chulu phusubachin infection ki risk namisimi mi lockdown bemigoni me massive outbreak mijoni me hospitals will not be overburdened with cases that require oxygen. Nep mashum tutela pum mashum mijoni me bala tani be joingale then businesses as usual gi time chithong se shunibela. Last question 36. What about those who are in quarantine la? Will they get their dose in quarantine? The answer is yes la. Answer is yes. Quarantine na dubikablu until you finish your quarantine. You are considered positive until proven otherwise ila. You have a reason to be in quarantine. Ani benidigi ngachi quarantine ju durem da pyula. Either ju durem da china jorem da pyube danjegi first round da ngachi gi china jorem da pyube tai ise shunibela. Yachima gi quarantine ju du chin china chunbe chera jeda se pyutaula. Either way you are eligible to be vaccinated soon after your quarantine period la. Ngachi gi tab diwachin quarantine dalar pyutang diboda mise rirengi gi karibe labme sa wachin ngachi china jobe chapni ise china phambe sa jobe chapni ise jegora kaga sabe chapni ise tarangi bedroom na lo comfortable be ngebe dube log recover beni se sume dubala tani beni digi we might allow you all to go home and get it vaccinated, or we might offer the vaccination at the end of your quarantine session be, but not during your quarantine la. During your quarantine, since you have no chance of getting the infection or you have no risk of passing on the infection to others, quarantine period we will let you enjoy the quarantine. Last, the last question the requesting Mejier to repeat vaccination of breastfeeding mothers, the pregnant women. Many queries Laso nangi gina isina charosugi labime te kongi toto tiwatinen taudalu. There are a lot of questions on amsu alukini bemida alu chimidisulu du se tebe labime la. Las tani di digjile bewachin te khap di machap ru tu achi guda se tebelabi se shunibi la tibeuda te nga gi sui khechu sulu te bara law meyo khap chab jomidi sulu nga gi te bara lap taun la ta chera cha chab lodi yobachin amsu alukini bemi iru yana om tumi om jimi bemi iroe khap jini gi tande yobachi jeda se chunibi digi namsimi kesa kekiu gi ngenka kani mila zamning nalu te mi ma hi jepchi alukini bemida alugi ai om chimi te men khap di jeda ko tab madu kani mathunse tab madu thunthumi gi nesul phudo chira mila tibeuda amsu alukini bemi COVID-19 gi niji top digi be soda temi niji top digi be alu dogu machama kimile sha yula ani benidigi niji digi ngenka di chiese khap chamni gi ngenka di minose benidigi tenga chi chapchubi se shunibi te nabuto to sen jumi yobachin yana shule nabali gochu chelu tiwa tebe kyumi yobachin te chegi tenga gi tebe labde se tebe suna se shunibi ta nabale che amsu alukini bemidisu khap chaba chemda khap chapsu sagonale khap rimate wachin tenga lu jutin jitan di kari chana se shunibi la nga gi tushinen khono khalabge ese tangi gi number di 17162399 ila khap ani men khap di nedin kachilera tindiro mathobachin tenga lu suna se shunibi che dubigi mim memelo se che ngotela khir minulo se che danjagi khap di chapsu sago na meme se che niji do maro du se che men do maro sadi ime se che alukini ime se alukini yubina mibina mishibe se anisugi nedin lu jijadi che khap mitop selami yobachin te nabangalu jutin dana se shunibila ngagi khap top bezodi piu se las tani bindigi ta tandamsimi ngagi shugopchi kanemi ta chegi karagi kenla ta totogara tsima tawa juju bo tsasa ki chamidi ta achi pensuba chinse nodi ta nga chirtangi miselu lamidi da nabu facebook na chensumigi miselu lamidi kepen nami simi yuse ngaragi shila ukagi miselu labachin khora rere nyingi gi kodate chamchi jonime totongagi na chechachab ta kuyen yumi towa yumi tandi yumi benidigira facebook na chennanam imala ani benidigi with lot of regards and expectation I took all this trouble to explain to you everything that I know about this vaccination program and COVID-19 la with the hope that you will pass on this information to general public so that more people come out to vaccinate la because we need to vaccinate at least 80% of people living in the country la because we need to attain herd immunity nagi tiwa taudara there are a lot of expectations after the second dose expectations as to do their businesses normally, expectation as to walk around freely, but we need to maintain COVID norms. We need to avoid lockdowns. We need to reduce quarantine periods la. Any expectation do, ngachigi any expectations to meet begobachin, we must attain herd immunity seshunibi. 80% of Bhutanese people living in the country must be vaccinated la. Tani vaccinate benigi tenludi Genku, please don't assume that everyone will take the responsibility. Please don't assume that everyone will know what we are talking about today. Please don't assume that everyone will be able to identify the risk factors of not vaccinating. Sani binding nabugi achichi tata tulu sagechi jedigi be sun subachin mi ririgi vaccine machaba dumigi mi riri ningi dere the vaccine chapsup zosurula tare national building na nami simi khebar bombe yu se shunibila. You all might know that recently we lost one lady in Finsuling. She is actually from Samsi Gumtu area. She was 83. She had all high-risk comorbid conditions like diabetes, hypertension, kidney failure, karadula, chronic lung disease do. But she was not vaccinated. Upon inquiry, her daughter told us that since she had comorbid conditions, since she was mostly homebound, she normally goes out in any activities outdoors, socialize mapalere benimi, chim nanara jumichi se benidigi, the mo vaccine chapgo bigi nedunchi, maton, chamigop des, no di jadai se labdela. I feel so bad that I took it as our failure. Ngachigi ko da tuchi lejimbe bemasubigi, that jungsenchi ime sengara, namisim lopai se shunibi. If she had been vaccinated, I am very sure she would still be with us today. La. Because vaccination would have reduced the morbidity by 90%, 95%. La. Can you imagine this? So ani bini digi nabugi achichi te tutsage jidira tata ko da tijibe kari chaunse no rewa kido se shunibinla last ngagi jendam semi shunimi ta vaccine chaba chumi se dita jendimino lo dito tobe chenna 가디 진나 투 헤만에 투타 지베 쳤나 마키미 여바진 땡가치기 고급 숨피도 사이노 팜 에스제네카 앤 모더나 피도 데가 탑치 지니 서와진 디나로 투톡바 제고브라미 모더나라 탈라 다니 지카리 차나 데 쳔달로에 데타 린사이 마친 랑기 팩 런치 아치티 남춘 데 투추 보틀 칸도 치 남춘 Teta tachi shudo zumbi tabu nabu te bacha phup kanka toto ara phup kanka toto whiskey pe griringi tabu nabu ji jumi yobachin tani jeda ba kimi se shunibi vaccination no do digibe chapchu first time jimi yobachin di jebada se shunibi la digiben kesa keula tama vaccine besa mahible chan da khali chu khate huminara mashiba juningen khay yula tani bindigi ata majimi machi jemada ata jimi imachin tep jemada ata jimi de jedaba kimi se shunibi ta tarena zi jumi yabachin te namja chachu bügi düsulube te ta juashi kengende temme ta numkonna chumi disuge te mithilege ba numke tukin shubigi te pele shayula ta haneleboda tare te myongadari mochigi tugi chage bomshora ani vaccine di gyakhamna hubal hathi jumino misigi lema tyongoshte koda tu beiga ase vaccine ki kepen misegi lejime shiga ase vaccine di gadi chamni nagi tenga chigi sundere nabe bode myongadari mochele kalopchi kadebe pepchi sawajin vaccine gyakhamna lo changkha lejim lesha hubachin lejim ime dibyoda miselu di ka tamedera chapse jemigi nedun jemi namasemi tutsagi jego mi miselu ka tamedera chapgo semichi suila len kalom nibam di kachi sawachin ngachirigi netuldi information di ima imda memam membe mislu ko da to bese ru tutadi mise koragira jiung ngachi ge khamna shimigi mira ma yundebi gi milesha yu koragi tuta chisupse de myongadri muchigi mise malu tutebe te namme se shunibila we are tending towards a literate society la whereby our job is to reveal and inform the correct information to the public and decisions will be based on this information la which is what is called informed decision making process in shunibi tani chule tangari hone rewarecha myongadere muchigi tugi konje dubni ngachira chachap karagi rewa kani gi tinlu gekhabna mi yuri yesegi tene jachale gepchu thamba dechi khabdi chapsubachin tetare herd immunity attain besunime tarigi inda dumbadi ju dukham chile ngache duge khabdi zamling na mitam susu chibe mithenga si rewa kidola rogi donga ngamde junigi tenlu menla tiboda ra gumedi topchini digila gyakabnalo zamlingnalo gyakab jada gupchul hapchi du gyakab kaige thoma chumigi herd immunity against COVID-19 is every nation's dream la ani dream di ngachi gyakab gi thomni gi koka bombe yu se shunibi ngachi jungi begomidi ta khabdi malla lambe misegi kundi keni di ime din ngachira misegi khaji ime 명아들이 무치기 투기 공제임에 마치르기 추종기 접조임에 말라 람날레 미셀루토로 때다 담투베니기 고급제 피수니디기 땡아치 혼리디 삼조치 이세슈니비 다 미세기 동어 튠데라 캅디 잡고빌라 다니 캅디 시마토레 캅디 데 초시나케 자자바게 같이는 미페멜라 다니 빈디기 다리기 듄타치다 샤추담 지기 나케날로 미세 마쇼기 딥치 튠 오디 캅디지 대치바나 알루 로충이다 좁기기 반하기 알루스에 갑잡초비기 나와 톱진 같이 도루 갑디 같이 탭 레올라 아니 탭 레마 수바진 같이 주의 있어 주니비 갑잡아 맞추마진 딩같이 깅엔카다 같이 깅예바 멘스 주니비라 아니 같이라 가라기 예바이 is each and every one of us responsibility la 다니 칭 같이라 겐쿠 박디기베 다리레 고추디기베 고다티베니치 게 카스게 있어 주니비 같이 나바에 데 장통날라 팔루 media social media nala phalu ngachi ko that besu su beu teta khachae soilimbo jangthongna chui teta tari ngachi gi jangthongna lo khechodi sugi sundichi phido ten limbo ugidu jigi be changlagi khanabe te janda radio na lo shudo khacha limbo loknat gi be janda na lo tenga chal hocham gi khaki gi honle shuila dansu kara tenga che khadi gu chede kedi gi be shuchale men 미세수기 마키미 리링잉일로 차례슈다 미 리링잉일로 고다 쥐치 베수바 진세기 려와키 디베슈도 오세슈니비 나부기 다링갈리 슈니 남스미 미 다님치 슈베 나블레 제다 구츠디기베 베미기 컵디 vaccination second round of vaccination campaign di thakyu chenjibe efficiently jochupchida safely jochusemichi te nabu kaharagi milam chetebe na kari chana te ngarage tebe shudo ose shunibila che kuoge gi on laso kari che la